Spring has definitely sprung. The flowers are blossoming, birds are building nests, and critters are being born. This is also the time of year when baby critters are at risk for well-intended human intervention. Reporter Joanne Magley has more in this week's Volusia Here and Now.
This is the time of year when many babies are born or hatched. It's also the time when Joy Hill from the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission gets a lot of calls about abandoned animals that folks believe may be in need of rescue.
Everybody loves babies, and baby animals are so cute, and when you see them I think it's just a natural instinct to want to pick them up, and then if you think that they're abandoned, my goodness, you want to pick them up and take care of them and help them grow. I think that's why people do that. I know they just have the best interest at heart for the little critter.
But Hill says the best thing to do is just leave the baby alone, that actually intervening causes much more harm.
And of course wildlife is wild, and so they have developed natural defenses to things to try to prevent their babies from being predated upon, something coming and eating them. Lots of times they'll leave their young, and because they need to go off and forage themselves, get their own food, or like birds and things have to go and get the food for the babies. So that's just natural behavior for them, and they have a way to communicate with their young to stay there.
A common target of misplaced rescues is baby deer, temporarily left in a safe place while their mothers feed nearby.
For example, with deer, the little fawns, the doe, the mama will tell them, stay here and don't move and I'll be back. And fawns have lots of natural defense. For example, they don't have any scent. So that's one thing, a predator can't find them by smelling them. They also have spots, and those are a camouflage. Unfortunately, sometimes folks will come upon these little fawns just lying still as a statue, and they think they've been abandoned or orphaned. And it's very easy to walk right up to them and pick them up because they're not going to move.
In reality, their parents are usually nearby, but they won't approach humans. Besides deer, there are many other baby animals that are often mistaken for being abandoned this time of year.
Baby birds are really common this time of year, and they fall out of their nests sometimes, or sometimes they're just taking those first few steps when they're trying to learn, and people will see them hopping around on the ground and feel like, oh no, they've fallen out and they can't get back and the parents are gone. In fact, most of the time the parents, this is part of the learning process, the growing process. The parents are nearby. So in most cases, if they have, all their feathers, even though they're not going to look like the parent, but they have all their feathers and they're hopping around and they seem to be able to flutter and fly a little bit, just leave them alone.
Hill says if the baby birds are not feathered, you can look around for the nest and then put the bird back in it.
It's an old wives' tale that, if you touch the little bird, the parents will reject it. That's absolutely not true.
Not only can human interaction have a negative effect on wild baby animals, it's also against the law to possess most wildlife without a permit. Hill says there are very limited situations when people should step in.
There will be times that someone will see a dead opossum on the road, and the babies are clinging to it. They're still on it. That would be the type of situation, if you can do it safely, where you can take those babies off and call the agency or call a wildlife rehabilitator who can raise up those little babies in such a way that they can be released someplace.
Hill says basically only act if you know for sure babies have been orphaned or abandoned, and even then, call wildlife professionals. For Volusia Here and Now, I'm Joanne Magley.
For more information on Florida's wildlife and what you can do to help, you can go to myfwc.com/conservation.